Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Robert Laddick. Robert?
It's a whirlwind to walk into, but let's talk about it. All right. So something concerning I saw last time. All right, let's start off. Hello again. I'm Robert Lag, the owner of Roots Cattle Bar, experienced herbalist at 13 years. Something concerning I saw last time that I was here was that I saw troves of rehabs and drug clinics lining up one after another, talking about if kratom is banned. Something that came to me in realization is that all these companies come together as like a coalition, talking about, oh, ban kratom. If they ban kratom, that's a light opioid that goes off the table and allows for more hard opioids to be prevalently used in the community, leading towards more use case and more clients that they would have. That's how I personally feel in it. But hey, everyone's perspective, I could be wrong, right? But it does seem a little odd, and I'm open to perspective. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. He sees a certain side of the industry. I see a different side. I see people come in for a weekend use. They use it responsibly. But, people come to him when they're at the ends meet. And, I'm sure a lot of this is 708 that he's seeing, which the state just went into effect, is successfully looking to ban. But realistically, it's going to be a game of whack-a-mole. Kratom is banned. Some other thing comes up. There's millions of herbs that work on the opioid receptor, including alcohol does stimulate the opioid receptor. So it's just... We need to work on education, harm reduction, and not sitting here making plants illegal. I appreciate you guys considering keeping Mother Nature illegal. Tea is a great idea, but I'm not gonna hang up on all that too much. But I'm kind of talking to the bill a little bit more now. Tea is a great idea, but the method of consumption that makes sense is standardized kratom extracts infused into canned beverages. That's the only way our health department allows it to be served, is in a prepackaged container for a dietary supplement to be served in a food establishment. So the tea method, for some people, they're willing to risk getting a fine from the health department, but that's not something that we're willing to do as a small business. That those fines could seriously impact us and put us out of business and make us close our doors. The way that a lot of the industry does it is they have a mitragine extract, which is the basic kratom alkaloid. It's extracted to a standardized dosage, so it's like 100 milligrams per drink or 25 milligrams per drink, and that's done in a way that if you have natural kratom leaf and you're consuming it that way, it could be anywhere from 1% to 2% to 3%, so you don't know the dose you're getting. If you have a standardized extract of normal kratom, that is a method that you can do to make sure you're getting the right dose. So that is what I'm really pushing for, is extract infused drinks in certain caps if you guys want. But essentially that has to be done to make sure people know the dose that they're getting and not just randomly taking a leaf and getting a random dose. I just want to clear up something that we were talking about. He was saying there's 200 deaths a year from kratom. I've talked with some of you guys about this, and you guys have done your research before talking with me, is that all these deaths are polydrug use. They're not individual deaths of kratom. They're used in conjunction with other opioids, and that's what the overdoses are coming from. I looked at 55K opioid deaths a year for the 200. I think the beeping's me, it's done, right?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
cool.
Sorry, your time's up. There's questions. There's
Yeah.
questions. Bernardo Lee, Richburg.
How you doing, sir? You said you own your own shop?
Correct.
So the testimony that was brought up just recently is that there is a federal import ban.
So there's a lot of things that aren't GRAS approved, I guess. I was actually looking it up while he said that. It's not something I was aware of at the moment, but it seems like, I guess if there's an herbal supplement that's not GRAS approved, generally regarded as safe, the studies are being conducted now. I guess they say like they give people importing issues. We've never dealt with any issues like that or been contacted or anything like that. Neither have any of the companies we've dealt with personally. Maybe it's something that a policy was implemented on, but it's not enforced.
Okay, so when you go to order your product, you're ordering it from outside the United States, am I correct?
No, we have a prepackaged, lab-tested material that we get, because we're only allowed prepackaged. The way the health department allows is prepackaged drinks only to be served at our establishment.
So you're saying the health department and the county health department or the state health
Correct.
department?
County health department.
Okay,
Yep.
so you order it from a location inside the United States?
Correct.
China.
And then, so when you order this, product, do you know where they get their product from?
Everything that we get has to have a COA, which is certification of analyzation. So everything has the mitragine tested. It's the way that the banking systems allow us to even do business. In this industry, you can't really do any type of work with this unless you have active recent lab testing on the material that you're getting.
Okay, so, and that's at your establishment, but obviously if you're a gas station or you fall under a different law, am I correct?
If they're
I-
banking with it, then no.
Okay.
Uh,
And so, but you can't attest to exactly what country or where.
It all comes from Indonesia. That's where it's mostly came from. They actually just regulated over there for export just recently through the government. So it's just a matter of like,
To the government of Indonesia, not the,
Correct.
not the United States government.
well, the Indonesia just allowed it for export and exported licenses and permits over the last 2 or 3 years and stuff like that. So they're seeing that it is a financially gainful thing. They see that's a market and they're opening the doorways to proper export. So I guess it's just a matter of our state coming on board. But this kind of comes into a lot of things where there's a weird gray area, new herbs that come in the market that if they're not used frequently, like we explore all different herbs. You know, I have e-commerce where we'll touch base on various different herbs. Some of them aren't used as frequently and they're imported as a botanical, not as a supplement. That's kind of what he's talking about. It's like kratom is a botanical product, but it's not a supplement yet because it hasn't went through GRAS, which is generally regarded as safe by the FDA yet. So it's in the processes of that where it's not approved yet. So they don't have it as a technical use case as a dietary supplement at the moment. But that doesn't mean that states haven't approved it that way, such as Florida and Rhode Island, which have just regulated as dietary supplement use cases and proper licensing.
So I guess just learning today that there's possibly, and I just looked up on the FDA website,
Yeah, I just looked at it as well too.
there is an import ban. So does that give you any pause?
Import warning. No, because it's not about, it's about the dietary use case, right? So it's not really, it's, yeah, I personally don't have pause with that because the laws are in place here in our state that allow kratom sales. I get from within the United States. That's not something that in my logistical frame of mind that I have to worry about personally.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay,
There's also an import ban on Cuban cigars. Let us say the floor, Mike.
thank you.
Wait, don't go away. Don't go away.
I guess.
How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
So, before I ask you a couple of questions, so you're basically coming to us as someone who's a shop owner. You have no medical background or anything like that,
I'm an
correct?
herbalist of 13 years.
You're an herbalist?
Correct.
Okay. Who's regulating your kava bar at the moment? Like,
A
who
lot of
comes in other than the health department?
Correct. The health department definitely does have regulations. We touch base on how we can serve and can't serve. But also surprisingly, the banking system has a large play in how we are able to operate. Like I said, all the products that we have to have those lab tests coming in, and they have to be active lab tests within whatever a month time frame or 3-month time frame. Surprisingly, the banks work very hand in hand with us to make sure that we're operating in a regulated framework.
So walk me through that. What does a bank have to do with regulating what you're?
Okay, so let's say we want to sell kratom. We go to a banking, would they say, okay, all right, show us all the lab tests and all the products you guys are bringing in. We need photos, inventory of all the products. We need sourcing of all the products you guys are getting from. We send them all that. We send them all the lab testing that we have on that, showing there's no 7-OH, showing that the exact percentage of metrogene, showing that there's no pesticides, that there's no contaminants, that there's no E. coli, heavy metals. And then we have to submit all those testing with all that data to the bank to even be able to sell this product.
And who in your bar specifically, in your kava bar?
Yeah.
Who's responsible for regulating how many drinks a person can have? Is there a time frame?
We
Is there
do.
signage?
Yeah,
How do you guys regulate
We
it?
have multiple signages, 3 different posted areas, front, like on both sides of the building. We train our staff. I'm gonna call them, just turn that off. So we train our staff to make sure that, 25 milligrams is a standard dosage. People that are more experienced could go up to 100 milligrams. That's our cap. We don't really allow over 100 milligrams. I think it was the FDA or some research study that showed 85 milligrams and under doesn't have any type of habitual habit-forming properties. And we do notice that, consumers that have had too much compare it no more than caffeine. They're in the mood for it, but that's all. If they're having 7-OH, it's a different story, which me and my wife, who is the manager over there, we've never condoned and don't support the 7-OH. I get 7-OH as a harm reduction tool for people that are on fentanyl, but that's a whole different story that I'm not here to argue today. So, yeah.
So who decides, you just said that for an experienced user, they could go as high as 100.
Yeah.
Who decides who's experienced, who's a novice?
Regulars, we would not give that to anyone that is our first time seeing. Someone that we've come in, seen, they've had 25 milligrams, they have a 50 milligram, they may have 100 milligram on their third month or eighth month of being with us in business, and we've seen them 10, 15, 20 times before or something like that, so.
So you're just basing it off your own personal, what you feel someone is capable of handling?
Yeah, you kind of feel out, just the same as a bartender. They have to kind of make that judgment depending on how much that person is able to consume, how often that person comes there, when to cut that person off. The bartender does the same thing that, our kava bar would be, and staff would be trained to do as well.
And my last question to you is, does I guess the tea or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
does it affect everyone the same way? In other words, like if you have a 300-pound person having a drink and someone who weighs 110 pounds?
You're absolutely right. It does not. Someone who's lighter weight, someone who's heavier set and says, oh, I take a 100 milligram edible. Okay. All right. Well, you could maybe try the 50 milligram. See how you feel. Okay. Now you can have the other 50 milligram if they're a 300-pound set person, for sure. Compared to someone thinner, might be 25 milligram. But this is something that we have staff meetings with about our team on a monthly, bi-monthly basis, informing of new products we come in. This is a high potency product. This is not these are for our regulars that are used to these type of experiences, and to start with a half a dose and stuff like that. So something that we feel very ethical and moral about. We want to do this the proper way. We really do believe in plant freedoms and having accessibility. And again, this is just a game of whack-a-mole that's been going on for ages. The war on drugs, it's not ending. It's never gonna. It's just harm reduction, education, and handling it in different ways. If this is a safer alternative that has a lower chance of overdose rate, then something that should be allowed and in accessible formats. That's something what I'm here to argue today is just changing the bill to allow for canned drinks so we don't go out of business. Because the teas, I'm not willing to risk the fines with the health department, and we would have to go out of business, unfortunately. And I appreciate you guys trying to work with us and keeping the plant legal. So thank you to you all.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, sure.
Legislator Kennedy and Legislator Lennon.
Hello, thank you for coming out again.
Oh, I appreciate you.
All of our questions.
Oh, absolutely.
You were just speaking about how in one drink has 25 milligrams or 100 milligrams
Correct.
of what? Of
Oh,
kava? Of the-
mitragine, so that's the active
Okay.
compound. Yeah, most of the
Alright.
drinks do use a standardized extract. It's not the 7-OH mitragine. That's the
Right,
one that is, 20 or 60 times the affinity rate of normal kratom. This is just regular, generic, the main active compound, mitragine. Yeah.
And from what I've read,
Yeah.
there's, as the woman before you had said, there's red stem and white stem and
Correct.
whatever, and that
Yeah.
has to do with the drying process. But that also increases the amount of nitrogen.
So there's multiple different alkaloids. You count up to 11 or 12 different alkaloids in the plant. There's only maybe 2 or 3 that are concerning, and if I have the time to speak with you guys, I could let you guys know, be on the cutting edge of other ones that may be problematic. There's 2 others aside from 7-OH. There's a synthetic one that's completely man-made, and then there's pseudo, which is another one that could be something to talk about and put into the bill. But the other ones are benign, and they have medical properties that show lowers inflammation or more focusing or more stimulating, and those are the ones that are the white vein, the red vein, because they have higher concentration of speciosa and these other ones like that, but they're not as problematic as, say, 7-OH.
Is there any literature that you could send us? So we could read
Absolutely,
it?
yeah,
Would be
100%.
great.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
just
you.
forward it over to your guys' offices.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you. Over here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you calling out.
All right. So you said you have to send out to a lab to get tested, correct?
Us or the companies that we purchase from, correct. So
Are
we have
you,
to
are you sending it out to a lab?
Sometimes we do, if it's like a bulk extract or something like that. But most of the time, the companies that we work with, they have up-to-date testing that we have done to third-party labs that we do work with and have good relations with as well, so.
What labs are you using?
ACS Laboratories, G4 Analytics is actually based out of university in North Carolina, and they do a lot of research and stuff like that. So we like to support them and have good relations there.
So with the import of the leaf, it comes from Southeast Asia, it was Philippines, is that correct?
Indonesia, but it's
Indonesia.
Yeah, Southeast Asia type culture, exactly.
So I just did quick research. I got to look into this further. We just heard this new information about an FDA import alert. Is an official notification advising there's enough evidence to warrant what's called detention without physical examination for certain imported products. It's an automatic hold on goods manufacturers or entire countries. And the FDA has a detention without physical examination for imported kratom products. So I'm wondering, when you get your kratom products, are you getting it from, in a package that says manufactured or anything like that? Does it say what country it's coming from? Does it say it's from the USA? Does it say?
So pretty much all the kratom is either Indonesia or Thailand for the most part. When we get it, it's processed, the extract, put into drinks by companies in, like, let's just say Louisiana, shipped out to us. So we really kind of just deal with like a lot of the end retail products that are brought in.
So you're getting it from somebody else, and do you know what it says on the label, where it's coming from?
It's just distributed, manufactured here in Louisiana.
So whoever you're getting it from is getting it imported from another country.
Yep.
And that's where the FDA import alert is. And that's where maybe the issue is, it's not you, because you're
Correct.
going off what's on the label,
Exactly. Yeah.
which seems like it's not even correct, because it really comes from another country.
And something I want to address on that too is that it's not just kratom. It's just kind of like use cases that aren't approved yet for dietary supplements. It normally has to have the GRAS approval. It's something that's super controversial. A lot of research on both ends with the kratom. They haven't come to a determination with that yet. Many herbs we see that we work with that are not GRAS approved and technically for import could be problematic, but it's not anywhere where it's like a finable offense or any type of trouble. It's just like, this isn't allowed to come in. We're disposing of it or something like that,
Okay, so, and then you said you get lab testing done with other manufacturers and producers. Do you know what labs they're using?
ACS is a big one. G4 Analytics, Phytodex. These are all great labs.
But are these specific labs for herbal supplements, or are they labs that do testing across the board of
Testing.
multiple things, such as like a Quest Diagnostics, LabCorp?
Correct. So G4 does that. They do testing across the board. Some of the other ones are more cultured into the space of kratom or kava or, stuff like that.
So these labs are not specific to herbal supplements. They do across the spectrum testing?
Two of the ones I said are specific to kratom and herbal supplements. The other one, G4, is across the board. They do a lot of cutting edge research into just anything.
And do you know where they get their certification to be a lab that does this testing?
G4 is part of a college university in North Carolina.
Which university?
I don't have that information off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Okay. All right, that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else?